Oh my God, would you look at that view? And would you look at this? Insane. Wait, I need to shoot in Australia mode. There we go. I think that should be better. Wow. I do not know how this happened, but here we are with IONIQ 5 and well, let me take you back. So about 2 months ago, I got an invite from Hyundai Australia if I wanted to compete in World Time Attack Challenge in an IONIQ 5N, to which of course I said yes, one of the most prestigious motorsport events in the world, competing in the very first EV to enter the series. And then about 4 weeks after, jokingly, Hyundai said, would you mind slapping one of your wings on it? To which we said, yeah, we can do a full Aero kit. To which I said, let's do it. With only 4 weeks to go, we managed to do something impossible. We will tell you in a kit completely in detail later on in this video. I think for now, most importantly for you to know, if you're here in Australia, we will be of course participating in World Time Attack Challenge, where you can find me and the car and Hyundai crew. On Wednesday night at 6:30 we'll be at BurgerQue hosting a meet and greet, and next Monday we'll be in Adelaide at the Bend racetrack together with the car and doing all kinds of cool stuffs as well. Now, a bit more about the car. It is a factory spec IONIQ 5N when it comes to the drivetrain and powertrain, so around 600 to 650 horsepower depending on the power mode and N-Green boost. We have also, first of all, all the mandatory safety features like different seats, the cage of course, fire suppression system, etc. And also weight reduction. Actually, this car weighs 90 kilos less than the factory car, even with the cage installed, so did a good job there. Then we have also supporting mods, mandatory tires to run, and due to regulations we are actually running narrower and smaller tires than factory, because on factory it's running on 275 square setup on 21 inch, whereas this, due to regulation, is going to be 265 on 20 inch. That's why it also looks a bit comical, but it's going to be a fantastic driver excuse, because we don't know how it's going to perform. We still need to do the rollout. It's running on KWV3 suspension. This is the only thing that was available for the car on such a short notice. And yeah, of course, also our Aero kit. Now, before we're gonna go into detail, because Lapo will nerd you out on all the facts about the wing, about the splitter, about the canards, and how much development went into this. Let me tell you, this is an extremely proud moment for me and VUlcan Alpha team, because when we started the company earlier this year, our goal was to become an OEM, a manufacturer supplier, in the next 3 years. Well, since we started operating roughly in March, this goal got pushed a lot closer in roughly 5 months. Insane. And then to later actually design, develop and manufacture this kit in just 4 weeks, that's insane. And then as a finishing touch, Hyundai asked if we wanted to run our livery on the World Time Attack Challenge. So it's rocking the very first car for us as a company ever to rock a custom VUlcan Alpha livery. It's, I don't know, it's insane. Fantastic car, fantastic view, fantastic wife. It's, I don't know if it can get better than this. All right, looking forward to seeing you all upcoming weekend. And now I guess enjoy all the nerdy facts about the Aero. By the way, you can order it now through VUlcan Alpha as well for your IONIQ 5N, and it also shows that we can mount our wings on anything. We can create a custom solution, whether it's a hatchback or any kind of car, we can install our wings on it. So now, some more facts about the Aero. You look a bit tired, mate. How about you?
Me too.
Me too, because last 4 weeks, roughly, or maybe even 3, have been absolutely insane. Here we have our Hyundai IONIQ 5N with bespoke VUlcan Alpha, we could say World Time Attack Aero
Club
kit.
Sprint.
Yeah,
Aero
Club
kit.
Sprint Aero kit. Right now, it is Thursday, the 15th of August. Now we have the rear wing with custom CNC mounts, also the front splitter and canards that we'll tell you in a bit more about. All of that. First time Hyundai reached out to us and asked, would you like to put a wing on it, was on 25th of June. And that was like the first time it was mentioned. After which we said like, okay, yes, absolutely, we would love to. Then we started gathering a car. So we actually got a car from a friend of ours. So thank you very much, Marcel, for providing us with the car. So we could do 3D scanning and start the designing process that would fit the regulations of the club sprint class of World Time Attack. Then the first design was submitted to Hyundai on the 18th of July, I think. So this less than a month ago. Less than a month ago, the design was submitted and Hyundai approved the design. Then it had to go to the World Time Attack Technical Commission to make sure that before we start production, it will be absolutely okay. It was weekend, so after the weekend, we got the confirmation. And actually 2 days after, they said, oh, wait, we oversaw one thing, and that was the splitter. So we had to do a small reiteration of that. So you could say that in 3 weeks' time, after the confirmation, everything was finished. The rear wing and also the front kit. And that is absolutely insane if you're into production, if you know how long things gonna take. So massive shout out to all of our suppliers and partners who helped us to achieve this, who put other projects aside to make this all happen. It was absolutely wild. We'll mention all of them as we go along. So before we go to the front, which is probably the most bespoke part, let's talk maybe about the rear, Lapo.
Yeah.
So take it away. What do we have here?
So we have our VA 320 wing element, and the regulations say that you have to have it basically for the hatchback, not more than 150 millimeters from the roofline. It cannot go out the arches basically. And you can also do a dual element, but unfortunately because it's a hatchback, it's a bit difficult to fit a dual element wing. So we went for the single element. And then
by difficult, it means because you're restricted by the height.
We are restricted by the height. So if you bring the airfoil too low, then it's almost the efficiency of the airfoil is also mostly negated. So I decided to bring the wing as high as possible to get as clean airflow as possible. And then the difficult part was finding a way to mount it that high. So from factory, the IONIQ 5N comes with a spoiler. The first idea was to create a one-piece aluminum mount, but that was a bit too costly and a bit bulky. So we created these mounting points which are completely custom for the IONIQ. So they're angled to keep the upright straight. Some connectors to eliminate the sway, so these don't flop around. Because if you don't have these and you only have the rods, the whole system would deviate from side to side. And then to withstand the pressure, we added also in contact with the Hyundai directly these connecting rods, these that tie on at the bottom. And basically the whole system is a really strong triangulation. Also these are a slight angle, so also these two rods basically keep the whole system very sturdy.
Yeah. Can you maybe hold it for a stress test? Can we do pull-up?
Yeah, I think you can.
Like, can I pull it on the wing?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm actually grabbing on the wing and not on the mounts.
Yeah, he's mounted.
Yeah. 100 kilos of downforce. And of course, downforce is being dissipated over the... I cannot do pull-up. I slept only 3 hours, so don't ask me to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, but as you can see,
yeah,
it's solidly mounted. It's not going anywhere. And yeah, the rear was pretty easy to, let's say, also analyze from an aero standpoint. Then the difficult part is to match the front. And because we were in a really tight deadline, we couldn't like do a flat floor, full floor analysis with diffuser and maybe floor vanes and all that stuff.
I want to also mention one thing is that this shows that we can mount our wings on hatchback forms. We actually already have a couple of custom solutions because a lot of people were asking if you can mount our wings on a hatchback. This proves it. And a massive shout out to our partner Justal, who's taking care of all of our CNC work. They also produced the Nova simulator that we have over there. They made
incredible work.
Incredible work. I think in 1 week time, they made it all
usually
possible.
Like the deadlines usually it's like 4 to 6 weeks, and for this project they really helped us out. In 2 weeks they did everything. They did anodizing and it looks factory. So
yes, yeah, no, it looks amazing. So the front, which was a very interesting exercise.
Yeah, so there's lots of variables that you need to take in consideration. One is time, one is also production. And in this case, we had limited time and very difficult production. So, of course, the best idea is to create a full, let's say, kit for the whole underbody of the car. But because of the time frame, we couldn't physically do that. So I decided to go as aggressive as possible with the limitations of the regulations in this case to match the rear downforce. Actually, it's a little bit front biased, but you can dial in the rear rake of the angle of attack of the wing, so you can match how you want the car, if you want it a bit more oversteery or understeery or neutral. So starting from the splitter element is a one piece that goes all the way back basically to the middle of the wheels. It's basically a huge inverted wing. From there, the regulations say basically you can go 50 millimeters out from the front, from the leading edge of the bumper, and then you take a line from the leading edge, you scrape it on the front, and there you can go basically out with the splitter. So this is what we did. And instead the canards, which is the second element, can stick 50 millimeters out, and it has to stay in the line of the front leading edge of the bumper. So from here, it needs to be a straight line.
Canards is always a fun one because a lot of people come to us and ask like, hey, do you have canards for my car?
Yeah.
But most of the streetable canards, they're like so small, they actually don't do anything.
Okay, so the small canards, they create a vortex that can help with the rear of the wing, rear downforce, but they don't actually create that much, let's say, downforce at the front. In my view, they're a bit more of an aesthetic point.
Unless it's a proper GT3.
Except it's a GT3, it's like it's CFD tested. If you're, let's say, a DIY guy, if you want to experiment with canards, you should definitely go a bit bigger if you really want something
so
that
in
works.
this case, this definitely works. According to CFD, I think this gives us 20 kilos or 40 kilos?
It really depends at speeds and angles, because the rake also of the car would change a bit let's say the performance. But around, yes, each it's going to be like 25 kilos, so it's quite a lot of pressure. And also it creates these end plates that they're also an aesthetic, let's say, exercise, because if you look from the side, they recreate the side of the car, of the headlight. Mm-hmm. But also these basically help create a vortex that helps with keeping everything in line in the back. The same with the end plates.
And they're not straight, they have a nice
yes.
angle.
They create a bit of drag for sure, but they help keep the high pressure on the top, making the splitter more efficient, and also keeping the high pressure from going at the bottom. And they also create a big vortex that helps extraction at the front and the front wheel section, and managing also at the bottom.
So let's talk now about production. So as mentioned, it took us 3 weeks to produce it, and most of the time went into the front, actually, because it's bespoke, it's custom made. Of the wing, we have already a mold that could be pre-made. Just did an amazing job of CNCing the extra mounts that we had required. And then over here on the front, there was nothing like this in existence. No. So what did we do?
So fortunately, we have a big rep printer. And it came in clutch because we could print the whole thing. So this whole system here is printed in a high temperature filament, which is good up to 160 degrees. And we then had Sept, our local company, help us out with a really tight deadline. They reinforced the whole print with carbon fiber, and then we brought it to get it lacquered, which unfortunately fucked everything up.
Yes, so it took us 1 week to print everything, because single canard, and the splitter exists out of 4 different sections. Then it was carbon skinned by Sept, and then it got
awesome
delivered.
Work, by the way.
Fantastic work for the
awesome
time.
Work.
It was amazing work, and then it was brought to one of the paint shops to put a clear coat on it to avoid the parts become yellow from the UV light. And unfortunately, well, it didn't turn out as we hoped. And actually, in our perspective, even ruined, made the parts look worse than it was before. And this is why we decided to wrap it. But this is unfortunately the limitation that you are going to have when it comes to you need to rush everything. The most important thing is that it preserved functionality of the parts. So I think maybe let's put it on the lift and we'll look a bit underneath of how the splitter looks like. All right, the car is on the lift, so we can have a look underneath how the splitter functions. But first I want to mention, actually, this car also belongs to our friend Marcel, who was kind enough to provide us with the car, not only for 3D scanning, but also for testing. And to not drill in his body parts, we got second-hand, bit of a crashed front bumper. Wasn't me. And also the back, of course, also because that required the most modifications for drilling. His one is over there, so it will be reinstalled later after we're done shooting this video. So yeah, let's have a look underneath at the most functional part. Talk us through it. And you can also actually see the carbon fiber weave. So you can see that it's carbon, but it's not to the prettiest standards, not to our standards. That's why we decided to wrap it.
And you can also see the carbon of the canards.
Oh yeah, underneath as well. Yeah.
And by the way, you can also see the reinforcement plate that we did with ZinSpeed, which actually helps distribute the force. So if you pull down, you see the whole bumper moves, and yeah, it's very sturdy. It didn't fly off at 250. So
yeah. So canards are being bolted in from the inside with 4 bolts, as far as I remember.
Yeah, 4 M6s with the backing plates.
Yeah. And then what do we have here? Oh no, we killed some bugs. So.
Yeah. Well, on the actual racing car, they're also gonna be bonded to the body. Yeah. Instead, the splitter on the IONIQ, there's a big cross member that goes all the way throughout, and I utilized that with some M8s to actually bolt the splitter to it. And there's no other connections between these. So you have a long overhang which keeps all the let's say surfaces very clean. There's no obstruction, and then 2 M12s at the back and 3 M6s. So the whole splitter is very secure. It's not going anywhere.
We also saw it on a high-speed testing footage of the camera on the splitter that it was not going anywhere at speeds at 200 plus kilometers per hour, 230 or so that we did. So it's all sturdy. So talk a bit about functionality.
Yeah.
What do we have? How do we have?
Basically, how does the splitter works? So in simple terms, you can put a flat, let's say, panel, which sticks out like maximum 150 millimeters, and you can catch all the high pressure. And it's going to help also with creating a bit low pressure if you work like close enough to the ground. In this case, because we were limited on, let's say, the Y, on the Y-axis, or depending on where 3D modeling software used, but whatever. On the frontal, let's say, linearity of the car, we couldn't go more than 50 millimeters. I decided to go deeper. So this is, let's say, a traditional airfoil shape, which is very good at creating low pressure at the bottom. The closer it gets to the ground, the more the Bernoulli effect kicks in and helps create low pressure. So this whole area is an expansion zone, and it's meant to suck the car to the ground. The M plates are here to, they create a vortex, which helps bring it out a little bit, the expansion from the front tire. Unfortunately, because we cannot modify any part of the chassis of the car, it's a bit draggy, but it's still fine. The chassis wheel comes all the way here. So if I had a bit more space, I would have brought this diffuser a bit more inboard, so the wake could go past the tire, but here we had to compromise a little bit. But the whole concept is very sturdy. It's working really well. The car didn't lose any top speed almost at all, and it was quite stable. Actually, when I came in the car, I could feel the car wanted to recenter itself from the Aero, so it's working very nicely.
Jobbed.
What else? The whole splitter goes all the way back, basically to the rear, to the center of the engine bay. EVs are really good because they don't have any heat shields, not almost any heat shields, no, let's say, passageway for heat to bleed out, because they are very efficient in that sense. So it was already quite smooth. But as you can see, this is very good for Aero because you have a complete flat bottom. The battery is also helpful because you don't have exhaust or anything. So the car is already optimized from factory to work and be efficient. And we sprinkled a little bit more efficiency into it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, very good. Well, I could definitely feel it on the stock car. We actually just came back from Mendik Air Base to do some high-speed testing of our first rollout. So maybe let's jump in there and show you how it all went down before we're gonna dismount the car and ship it everything in the box, put it in the box, send it to Australia, and then in less than 2 weeks time, or exactly 2 weeks time, I'll be driving it in Sydney, World Hamatech in Australia. Woohoo! You excited?
Very excited.
We are now at Mending Test Air Base, where many prototypes are being tested in a very safe environment. We have a 1.2 kilometer straight, I believe, and this is what we'll be doing. We will be doing some high-speed testing, make sure that everything will stay on the car as we're doing as fast as possible. We'll be doing a couple of corner testings, high speed, low speed, see how everything is balanced, and that's about it. So let's hop in and yeah, do a lap or multiple and see how it goes.
Yeah, exciting.
Exciting. I did 0 to 100, 0 with no hands.
Nice.
Yeah. Alright, a few hours later and many laps later and lots of accelerations, lots of silliness later, I would say the testing has been a success.
Everything was very successful. The splitter was amazing. The wing has been performing incredibly, so I'm very happy.
Most important thing, everything is in one piece, everything is stuck on the car in the same position, nothing is rubbing, nothing is scraping, the car is super stable on high speeds, whether you're with the hands and cornering, without hands accelerating and braking. I don't know what else to say at this point. The tire is a limiting factor, but it will be solved when we put the car on proper semi-slicks in Australia, in Sydney at the World Hamatech. And to be honest, the stock suspension was actually quite good already. So with some extra camber here and there is going to be mwah. And I guess that's kinda it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are just as excited as I am about this whole thing happening. I guess we're gonna go do some sightseeing, we're gonna do some koala cuddles, though there will be like some content on the second channel for that, so less motorsport, and also lots of more track content in the coming days, because tonight we'll be doing our first track day, track night, driving all kinds of different cars, so very much looking forward to sharing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with you. Once again, thank you so much to Hyundai and Australia for making this happen, also the World Hamatech Challenge. Still cannot believe this. I'm gonna take a moment to take it all in. Wow, wow, wow.